Some homes in Denver are selling in just a few days, but others are sitting on the market for over 90 days, and that gap has nothing to do with the overall market. If you're a seller trying to land in that first group, or you're a buyer looking for an opportunity in the second, this is the breakdown you want to pay attention to. I've been working all across the Denver metro area for years, and the 5 reasons we're about to cover explain almost every stale listing you're seeing right now. Let's get into it. Before I break down the reasons, I'll give you a little bit of context. Most people watching this market from the outside think Denver is either still a feeding frenzy or falling apart. And once you understand what's happening, everything else in this video starts to click. Right now, we're heading into the spring market and things are really picking up. Days on market have dropped in a meaningful way, about 19 days, which tells you buyers are showing up. Pending sales are up 30% month over month. That's not a market that's struggling. That's a market waking up. Closings, though, are still down year over year slightly, and inventory is still sitting about 20% higher than it was in February. So buyers have options. They're not rushing into anything. They're not waiving inspections or throwing out offers way over asking just to win a deal. That shift is what's creating this split you're seeing. Some homes move faster, others just sit. And when we get into the action steps, I'll walk you through how to use this kind of market, whether you're buying or selling. Stay with me. Now, move-in ready homes that are priced right and show well are still moving fast. Homes that feel dated, are priced off peak market comps, or need a lot of work, those are the ones that are sitting. To understand why that's happening, we need to take a step back because this market didn't get here overnight. Back in 2021, rates were sitting at the low 3% range. Inventory was almost non-existent. There were points where we had about 2 days of supply. 2 days. Homes were getting 10, 15, 20 offers. Buyers were waiving inspections, waiving appraisals. It was a full-on frenzy, and sellers could do very little wrong. Then interest rates climbed, and they climbed fast. Once they pushed past 7%, the market did what it always does when affordability gets tight. Buyer urgency declined. Price growth went from close to 20% a year in 2021 to barely moving by 2023. Days on market started creeping up. The music stopped. And buyers making moves right now are in a different position than the ones who bought in 2021 or 22, but more on that in a bit. Stay with me. Now, a lot of sellers still haven't adjusted either. Those 2021, 2022 comps, those are gone. That's not the market we're in today. Sellers who are still pricing off those peak numbers are the ones sitting with no offers and a sign in the yard that is starting to fade. Before we move on, if you're a buyer or seller trying to figure out this market, I work with people like you all across the Denver metro every day, and I can give you a clear read on where you stand. My contact info is in the description below, so please reach out. So let's break down why that's happening, because there are 5 specific reasons behind almost every one of them. Let's start with the one that drives everything else. Nothing else on this list matters much if you miss this: price. When a similar home down the street sells for less than what you're asking, buyers know it. They're on Zillow, they're on Redfin, they've seen the comparable sales. If your price doesn't reflect today's reality, they will simply scroll right past and go make an offer somewhere else. Overpriced homes sit, and the longer they sit, the harder it gets to sell them. Buyers start wondering what's wrong with it, why no one's bought it. That time on the market creates a stigma. Sellers end up reducing the price, but by that point, they usually have to cut more than they would have if they had priced it correctly from day one. Right now, close to 20% of active listings in Denver have had at least one price reduction. That's the market correcting for pricing decisions that didn't match reality on day one. And later I'll cover the big question about this market. You'll understand what a balanced market means, and pricing starts to look different, so stick around. The market is efficient. It finds the selling price. The question is whether you hit it on day one or get pulled there after 90 days. The second reason a home struggles to sell are big ticket repairs and expenses. Think about what buyers are dealing with right now. Put yourself in their shoes. They're buying at prices still well above where things were 5 years ago. They're financing at rates that are more than double what buyers locked into back in 2021. Monthly payments are real. The last thing a buyer wants is a big repair bill a few months after closing. So when a home needs a major repair, a roof at the end of its life, an older HVAC system, outdated electrical, aging plumbing, buyers either walk or they come back asking for big concessions, and those requests can sting. Denver has a lot of older homes, especially in places like Cap Hill, 5 Points, the Highlands, Park Hill. Great character, real charm, but they come with the realities of age. Inspections are thorough right now. Buyers are reading every line. If you're selling and you've got a major system near the end of its life, you've got 2 options: fix it before you list or price for it. Ignoring is not an option. Buyers will find it, they'll respond accordingly. Now, a home can be in great shape and still sit for months. Buyers don't fall in love with inspection reports, they fall in love with how a home feels the moment they walk in. That's why cosmetics matter and first impressions are real. Now, I'm not saying you need a complete kitchen remodel here. In fact, you often won't get return on major remodels, but there's a big difference between a home that feels cared for and one that feels stuck in another decade. Worn carpet, bold paint choices from years ago, clutter that shrinks the space, outdated lighting, it all adds up fast. Now, staged homes tend to sell much faster than unstaged homes. A lot of agents see a clear drop in days on market when they take time to prep a home properly, myself included. But perhaps most important is a clean feel. Start with a deep clean. Replace worn flooring if needed. Carpet is cheap, and worn carpet turns off a buyer very fast, trust me. Use neutral paint, update light fixtures, which are super cheap on websites like Wayfair. Now again, put yourself in the buyer's shoes. They're making a big financial decision. They need to picture themselves living there. That's hard to do when the home still feels like someone else's space. So if you can, move out and stage the home. If not, simplify and pack up personal belongings. A home can be priced right, in solid condition, and look great, and still sit, or worse, get a lowball offer, just because the home is not getting enough buyers walking through. You can do everything right and still struggle if the marketing of your home doesn't show it. Nowadays, buyers find homes online first. Before they ever step inside, they've already seen the photos, maybe a video, maybe a virtual tour. They're already judging your property. If those photos are low quality, have poor lighting, or there's not any prep, buyers move on before they even check the details. Professional photography matters. Homes with strong visuals sell faster. In most price points, it is not optional anymore. And marketing goes beyond just photos. Prep the home before the shoot. We talked a little bit about that. Consider twilight shots if the exterior works for it. A nice sunset photo. Add video. Video's big right now, and get the home in front of as many people as possible. Listings that sit often had weak marketing from the very start. And with more options on the market now, buyers don't have to look past that. Now, 4 of these 5 reasons are things you can control before you list. The last one is different because you can't change it. You can only work with it. And that's location. It doesn't stop a home from selling. It just has to be priced correctly. If your home is on a busy street, near a commercial space, or backing to something a little less desirable, it can still sell. Buyers understand trade-offs. They just need to feel like the price reflects it. Where sellers often get tripped up is first impressions. If the yard is overgrown, the driveway is cracked, the front door looks worn, buyers show up already unsure. And unsure buyers do not write strong offers. Small updates go a long way. Clean up the landscaping, pressure wash the driveway, add fresh paint to the front door. These are simple changes that change how a buyer feels before they even walk inside. First impressions happen fast. Make that moment count. So knowing all of the reasons a home doesn't sell is one thing. What you do with them is what moves the needle, because the action looks different depending on whether you're buying or selling. So let's talk sellers first, because the path here is pretty clear, especially after going through all of those. A good real estate agent will walk you through exactly what's necessary to spend money on and what's not. But ideally, you're out of the home before it hits the market. Now, this is not a reality for most people, so don't stress. But again, you need the home to be very tidy when people are touring. It's time to put away personal items, sports memorabilia, family photos. Remember, buyers are trying to see themselves in the home, not you. Then start tackling some of those suggested repairs and adjustments we talked about earlier. If a minor item is broken, loose handles, drywall holes, small leaks, get those things buttoned up now. Go with neutral paint, replace worn carpets, take care of any major mechanical issues ahead of time, or price your home accordingly if you're not going to make those major repairs. Clean up the landscaping, make sure the exterior feels good the moment someone pulls up. All right, let's hammer this one home, the big one. Price for today's market. It's not 2021. Don't price for what your neighbor got a year and a half ago. Your buyer is making a decision based on today's rates, today's payment, and based on what other homes are selling for within the last 30 to 60 days. The more prepared your home is up front, the less likely you are to deal with price cuts later, or worse, not get an offer at all. Okay, let's talk about buyers. Once you know what a comfortable monthly payment looks like for you, get focused. It's easy to spread yourself too thin across different different neighborhoods and a long list of wants. Dial in what fits your lifestyle and your long-term goals, then narrow your search around that. Don't be afraid of homes that have been sitting for a long time either. A lot of those are solid homes that were just priced too high at the start. The seller has had time to adjust, so if you find something that you like that's been on the market for 60, 90 days, guess what? There's room to negotiate oftentimes. And negotiations aren't just around price these days. I'm getting many clients seller paid closing costs, interest rate buydowns, inspection item repairs, or a real price adjustment if that's what you're after. Those are opportunities that were basically non-existent a couple of years ago. That's your leverage. Use it. And by the way, the urgency of 2021 that we all heard about a couple of years ago, that's not there anymore. You have space and time to make a thoughtful decision. So make sure you're thinking through whether or not this is the one. Which brings us to two questions I'm hearing more than anything right now. I get asked two big questions all the time, and I'll give you the same answer I give my clients every time. The first one, is Denver slowing down? In the short term, sort of. We're relatively flat year over year in terms of price and activity, and it's certainly a more measured market than we've seen in years. Sales volume is down slightly compared to last year, though spring is just heating up, so we will see how the coming months go. And sellers have to put in more work to get the result they want. And then comes the second question, is the market crashing? No, and I want to be clear about that. Prices are not falling apart. We're not seeing a spike in distressed sales. What's happening is a correction, a move away from the intensity of 2021 and 2022 and back towards something that feels stable. Prices, closed prices, are relatively flat year over year. Right now, we're sitting at around 3 months of inventory. That's a different environment from the 2 days on market that we experienced a few years ago. The idea of balance doesn't get talked about enough. It keeps prices from running too far too fast, and it helps sellers set realistic expectations. It gives buyers a real seat at the negotiating table. This is healthy. This market just requires a different approach than what worked a couple of years ago. So if you're trying to figure out what the approach looks like for your situation, here's the easiest next step. Homes sitting 90 to 150 days aren't a sign that the Denver market is broken. Every one of those homes comes down to pricing, condition, or presentation, and there's something to learn from each of them, whether you're selling or buying. If you're trying to figure out if your home is set up to sell, or you're looking at one of these longer listings, potentially to purchase, feel free to reach out. Shoot me an email at ryan@ryanhaarer.com today, and I'll give you a straight answer based on your situation. If you want to keep going, I've got a video on screen right now that ties in perfectly with everything we just talked about. Click into that, and I'll see you over there. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.